morning, everyone. I've got an unofficial and official introduction. First of all, I'm going to give you the unofficial one. I'm so thrilled. Last week I introduced my oldest, long-term, colorful, creative, and spiritual friend. And this time I'm going to introduce my newest colorful, creative, spiritual friend. So in 2014 at a reunion at the homecoming, I spotted this lady with feathers and a tattoo, and I said, that's pretty curious, and I started to talk to her, and I introduced myself, and that was Clarice. So I subsequently learned that she was Brazilian, and that after the 1964 U.S.-backed military coup, she had been jailed and had to flee for her life to Mexico and studied abroad in Mexico. All right, now here's the official one. I'll take it from here. Basically, where'd it go? Clarice da Mota, in her younger days, was a professor of social anthropology and a psychologist. Now she has retired and works as a shamanic practitioner and energy healer. She has been studying about shamanism from several native traditions, but mostly from South America, where she comes from, for the past 20 years. She is also an ordained priestess from the Order of Melchizedek, from the Sanctuary of the Beloved, plus a certified clinical hypnotherapist. So I want you to welcome Clarice da Mota. Where are you? Did I just say too much?
Thank you so much. It is with great joy that I'm here to speak to you. I feel very honored and thankful. George said a few sketchy things about me, which is good. And I want to say, first of all, that I do not consider myself as a shaman yet. I practice shamanism and I'm still studying it. It's a lifelong project. And since my childhood, I've been drawn to the indigenous people of Brazil, where I was born. But I only found out that I was blood related to one of the remnant tribes when I was in my 40s. And I was studying anthropology exactly to make contact with the natives. That was about 30 years ago. And since then, I've been trying to learn and practice in this path. One of the most important things I found out was that a tribal shaman is honored and loved as a healer, but is not regarded as superior to the other members of the community. The shaman is a skilled facilitator who interacts with both the visible and the invisible worlds to help restore balance to body, mind, and soul. The shaman lives with one foot in the world of matter and the other foot in the world of spirit. Today I am going to speak more about the knowledge of the Laika, who are the shamans from the Peruvian Andean mountains. But before I start with them, I want to say how I started really interested in the healing was in Brazil, in my country, with the first tribe that I got in contact with, the Shamans of central Brazil. I was learning from the shaman what the healing rituals were all about. They dance around the person who is sick, they pray, they bring food, and the person heals. So I asked him, so nobody dies, everybody's healed, nobody dies? And he said, no, some people die, but they die healed. And that's when my first clue that there is a big difference between curing and healing. But today I'm going to talk about the 4 levels of perception of reality, which I learned from the Laika, where like I said, the Peruvian shamans. And I learned this directly from them, and also with Alberto Villoldo, who was my teacher at the Four Winds Society. The Laika, as many other native shamans and peoples I've had contact with, believe that we can change our world by the ways we perceive a problem. By changing our perception, we can transform a challenge into an opportunity, as they believe that we can dream our world into being. And this is very similar to what the quantum physics says. All matter is densely packed light. We are densely packed light. And according to the prophecies of the Hopi, the Maya, and the Inca, we are at a turning point in the history of the humanity. We are in a period of great turmoil and upheaval, during which, and this is very important, a new species of human will give birth to itself. We are moving from being Homo sapiens to being Homo luminous, when not only the native peoples, but most humans will understand and work with their own luminosity. And when we can realize that we can work with our own light and vibrations. And also, we are moving from a masculine theology of the conquistator, of the colonizer, to embrace a feminine theology of cooperation and sustainability. This is when we come to accept that we never lost the primordial garden, that we have never been separated from spirit. The Laika say, we are here not only to grow corn, we are here to grow gods. That's when we fully recognize that everything in our world is sacred, including ourselves. Our path to spirituality is that of direct knowledge. We are meant to acquire wisdom, always have, and our error, in fact, was not eating enough of that fruit of knowledge. Not embracing the value of directly experiencing the sacred. We should have listened to the serpent, and except for our saints. The wisdom of the Laika have embraced consists of practices that allow us to experience a raise in consciousness, a shift in the perception of reality, that we can transform ourselves and our world so that we can become the storyteller of our own lives. So there are 4 levels of perception through which a Laika engages the world. And at the end of the talk, I'm going to do an exercise with you all, okay? So be ready for that. These levels correspond to the 4 domains of manifestation of what we are made of, which is vibration and light. And they are, first, the physical world, our body; 2, the realm of thoughts and ideas, our mind; the realm of myth, our soul; and the world of spirit, which is energy. So each perceptual level is associated with an animal archetype that represents the powers and abilities one must acquire to influence the reality in that realm. Each level represents a higher level of perception. When we shift from one level of perception to the next, we have a much wider view of what we are experiencing and what we can do. So let's start with the physical perception. This is the level of the serpent. It relates to survival and self-preservation. This is a very material level, always tangible, solid, and difficult to change. And we try to come up with physical solutions. The serpent is an instinctual creature who relies on its senses to tell where there is food and predators. In fact, when I was first walking among the Indians in the forest, I noticed that I wasn't seeing any serpent, any snake around, and I asked them, isn't that interesting? There's no snake. And they said, no, there are several, except that they hide from you, they hide from us because they are afraid of us. We are the predators. So at this level of the serpent, 99% is matter and only 1% is consciousness or spirit. All is as it seems. All is as it is. That's what we usually say. Oh, it is what it is. So that's it. The solutions are physical, And we are operating from the reptilian brain that we share with lizards, okay? This is the cold-blooded domain that uses arguments like an eye for an eye. That's where we build fences. And the serpent is an essential level to master. We have to master the serpent level because we have to eat, we have to have a house, etc. But it's also the level in which we reach for the most literal signs of security. A big bank account, material toys, and we give in to greed, stinginess and suspicion, and we also amass weapons and we build walls. So the second one is the realm of the mind and emotional perception. The mind then interprets our reality. All isn't what it seems to be. No, all is not what it seems to be in the physical realm. It involves our beliefs, our ideas, and our emotions. In this level, we understand that we have choices, but these choices are limited by our beliefs. And the archetype of this level is the jaguar, which is an animal of sudden changes. It's an animal that transforms danger into food and has sudden reactions of anger. So the jaguar perception is associated with the mammalian brain, which is the brain of emotion and deep feelings, compassion and caring, but also the brain of anger, aggression, amulets, superstition. But in jaguar, we rise above the literal level of the serpent. And then we can see a wider range of possibilities in any situation. Because we can perceive much more about the situation than we would at the serpent level, so we can also think of more solutions. We know we have more possibilities and we can make changes. Okay, and then the third level, which is higher, is the level of the soul and sacred perception. But let me say that when we are talking about the two lowest levels, we're not saying that they're bad and that we don't have it. No, as we reach the third level, we still live in the physical body and in our minds and emotions. But when we rise to the level of the soul and the sacred perception, then things start to change. This is the realm of myth, the domain of our sacred journey. And the language of this level is music, poetry, and dreams. Galileo and Mozart are examples of beings on this level. At this level, things are what they truly are, which is an expression of the sacred. An expression of the sacred. That's what things really are. And that's the level of the hummingbird, a small bird that flies every year all the way from Brazil to Canada without stopping to take a break, not even to pee or to look for food. It just goes. It poops on our heads and it goes. So, in this level, our soul can experience itself on a sacred journey. And we perceive our own experiences as part of our own epic journey in the world. In this level, we yearn to drink only from the nectar of life. We are understanding what is our path. This level is associated with the neocortex, the most recent addition to the human brain. And it's responsible for our ability to reason, to visualize, and to create. So we can dream the world into being. We visualize the world we want to have happen. At this level, we listen to hidden messages, we operate in metaphors, and we are able to understand what illnesses really are, and so we don't treat symptoms alone. We perceive the hidden gifts that are invaluable for our soul's journeys, and we undertake our own healing journey. In this level, we learn how to practice forgiveness and to become non-judgmental. So it's very important. And finally, the fourth level, that's the level of spiritual perception. It's associated with the ego and the condor. And at this level, reality is 99% consciousness or spirit and 1% matter. It's just the opposite from the physical level. There is little form of substance. The language is of energy. Matter simply disappears. We no longer perceive ourselves as disconnected from other people. Boundaries melt away, and we recognize our oneness. Walls are broken down. We don't need fences anymore. We see ourselves as God masquerading as ourselves. And the brain of this level is the frontal cortex. Here, right here. Sorry. In this realm, we are outside of time. So we can change things before they become a reality. We can, for instance, stop a hurricane from happening. And that's something that shamans do, actually. And because at this highest level of ego, we become peace, finally. We become healing, we become beauty, because we have become one with spirit. We no longer see a separation between us and our environment, between us and other people, because at the ego level, we step into the fullness of our own power, and we understand fully the synchronistic nature of reality. We recognize there are no accidents, all things have a purpose and a meaning, even bad news. Oh, thank you for the water. Thank you. These four levels are states that we gravitate to naturally, since they are ways of sensing each one of our four subbrains. So it's the reptilian, the mammalian, the neocortex, and the frontal lobe. And so now we are going to go into the exercise. I think we have time. Good. And I'm going to play the drum, my drum. For this exercise, I will ask that each one of you find the nearest person by your side, probably. Turn to that person, because you're going to work one in front of the other. We are going to look from your left eye. You're going to gaze into the left eye of your partner. But don't start now. Just first, see who is by your side that you want to have this to work with. Everybody. Because this exercise is for you to understand that this shift in perception is not difficult. It's not impossible. It's not, we have to pray 300 hours and walk on our knees and light, an incredible amount of candles. All of that helps. But you can do that today, right now. So if you found your partner, I would ask for you people in the back there, you are supposed to work too. Right? Everybody. Find somebody to work with. Okay? And I'm going to play the drum for each one of the levels. I will call it. But first I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And breathe deeply 3 times. 1, 2, 3. When you feel very centered and balanced and calm, now you can open your eyes. And you will softly, softly gaze with your left eye to the left eye of your partner. Do not stare, do not mesmerize somebody. Just softly gaze into the person's face, because what you are about to experience is seeing the face of your partner in a very different way according to each level of perception. So the first one is the level of the physical. And now we are going to the level 2, in which your perception is that of the jaguar. You stay with your deep breathing, and you'll probably realize that the face wasn't what it seems to be in the physical level. You may go through several different faces that appear in front of you. Don't be alarmed. And now you're going to shift to the third level of the soul. This is the sacred perception. The face in front of you may come into stillness, and it has a meaning and a message that is important for you. Do not speak the message. Let the seer find out what is the message hidden in that face, in that soul. Now, the fourth level, all form dissolves into the universal energy matrix. All is spirit and light. Don't be surprised if you don't see anything, if everything becomes just light. I have to say that this beating of the four beats is usually what is done in many native tribes. This is the drums for peace, the drums to bring light, the drums to bring light energy into all beings, the universal light. So now you can, sit back, close your eyes just for a little while to take in all that happened or not happened. Breathe deeply. Take 3 deep breaths and bring yourself back to ordinary consciousness. And I'm going to end by reading a prayer that I wrote last night for today. This is the day Spirit has given us to enjoy life in the garden, to make peace with all beings around us, and to be grateful. We are flying with the eagles. Glory be to the universe, to the one Spirit who guides us all in our epic journey. Thank you.